Start with a reading here. This is from the book, The Essence of Self-Realization. Sometimes more than the words in the book, that just this picture of Master here, I feel that he's blessing all of us, and sometimes I turn towards this, and it's very comforting. You know, I met someone who is afraid of flying, and whenever she gets on the plane, she takes the autobiography of a yogi. She just holds it like this, and it protects her, that she feels that the plane will be okay and that she will be okay. You see, this is the power of our Guru, that he's much more than just a picture on the altar. And anyway, I will speak a little bit about this morning, but it's something that we want to bring that presence into our hearts. Anyway, this is a quote from Paramahansa Yoganandaji. "Those who join us on this path of self-realization are not connected to some printing press, but to a line of God-realized masters. God himself, through them, overshadows this work. All who follow it sincerely, with devotion, will be brought to him." That is the greatest promise, that if we follow this path with devotion, with sincerity, if we do our part, that we can achieve God realization in this incarnation. Don't doubt that. It's so easy to doubt that life gives us our beatings, our knocks, that things go wrong. If it's not this, then it's that. But it's all right. It's meant to make you tougher. That steel isn't made tough by some nonsense process, that there's a very particular process where they make steel out of iron by adding carbon to it and doing the exact thing. And so God too is making you tough like that steel by bringing you tests and challenges. A little while back I felt such a deep peace in my heart, and I was grateful that God had given me every challenge that he gave. But more than that, I was grateful that he gave them in the order that he gave them, because had he given me the big ones when I was a small child, it would have killed me. But he gave bigger and bigger tests in order, and in time we become grateful for this. In time the saints tell us that at the end we will clap, "Well done, Lord, well done. Thank you for every challenge that has ever come." But how do we achieve that? We achieve that through attuning ourselves to the Guru. The first step of attunement is to get to know the teachings. Read the books. If you don't like reading, it's all right. Watch the YouTube videos. That there's many of them of Swamiji. You can learn all the teachings that way. It's all right. There's talks out there of Master's voice. Listen to them. That if I told you I had a talk actually of Krishna's voice, and I would sell it to you for a certain amount of money, you'd say, "Oh, I want that. I've never heard Krishna's voice. Actually, wow." But you see, once Paramahansa Yogananda, once this goes on for 1,000 years or 2,000 years, then there will be millions, more than millions, billions who will worship. But right now we're very close. When you're very close, it's hard to see. They say in the Diya, when there's the flame, that there's a ring around, a dark ring. And when you're so close to the Guru that sometimes you don't realize what's exactly in front of you. And it's like that with us, with Paramahansa Yogananda now. But in time we will see. But we don't want to wait time. We want to know right now, where are you? We have to call to him from the very depths of our heart. Where are you? Where are you? Come to me. Reveal yourself. And if we call with that kind of devotion, he will come. Don't doubt it. And more than that, he will fix every problem in your life. And that is a promise I make to you from the depths of my heart, from the depths of my realization, from the depths of my experience, that Master will come. He will fix every problem in your life. He will make your life better than you could ever dream. But you have to open your heart to him. You have to ask him just like a little child. "I don't know how to fix this mess. I don't know what this is about." But if you call to him, and then he'll test you. You have to have patience also. You have to live by your principles and still love even when people treat you badly, and still be a man or a woman of Dharma. And if you live by those principles, God will come. God will give you more than you could ever imagine. If you want money, it's all right. Pray for it. He'll give it to you. If you want better family relationships, if you want anything, a better position in your workplace. He'll give it to you. But he's going to give you so much more than that. First, he's going to give these little things to you to show you that he's there. And he's going to help you build your own willpower so that by putting out energy into this world with your own will, you realize that your power plus his can attract anything that you want. And then finally, as your understanding grows, that he will then say, all right, now I give you the biggest test. And I want you to put out your will to find me. And then we come on this path. We learn Kriya Yoga. And if we practice Kriya Yoga faithfully and regularly, if we practice Kriya Yoga every day, you have no idea what is in that power of Kriya Yoga. That Kriya Yoga can launch you right out of this physical world, right into the astral world, right there with the devas who are there blessing you. You can learn to commune with the devas and see their shining eyes and see how much they love you and how much they've been here. Your guardian angels. They're here with you all the time. And when we come together in a room like this, all of our guardian angels, they come together to figure out how to help protect us better and how to work. But Kriya Yoga will take you even deeper than that. Even deeper, it will take you to the highest realms where absolutely nothing can touch you. Paramahansa Yogananda had a disciple named Dr. Lewis. And Master told that disciple, he said, when you are in Om, nothing can touch you. So Kriya Yoga will teach you how to hear Om. The Om is right there with you right now. It's vibrating within you. But your energy is locked up in the five senses. Your energy is going out and thinking, oh, if I eat 3 gulab jamans instead of 2, then I'll be happy. And well, we try it and it's all right. But it's not giving us that great fulfillment that we're looking for. But as we get more and more quiet, as we learn to love our fellow brothers and sisters, and as we learn to love God on the inside, as we practice our Kriya Yoga faithfully and regularly, and if we do our Kriya Yoga with devotion, and we feel that it's God who's doing that Kriya through us anyways, that we're not the doer, then slowly we begin to hear this magical sound on the inside. And it's always been there, but we've shut it out by our desires. But slowly we begin to hear that, and then it begins to vibrate within us, and it begins to ocean roar within us of Om. And we realize Master's words, that they were very true, and that when we are in Om, that absolutely nothing can touch us. And then we gain the responsibility to share this magical vibration of the Masters, this fairy tale come true, that life could be better than we ever dreamed. And we want to share that with everyone. We want to wake up this whole world out of their sleep, out of their slumber, that we're dreaming that we're in a nightmare, that life is terrible, that everything's no good, that human beings are no good. It doesn't matter if human beings are no good. You be good. You be the change that you want to see in this world, just as Gandhi said. And as you do that, you become the light. You feel the light within you. You feel that you're giving light. That Sri Yukteswar told Paramahansa Yogananda that a current, when he went to America, a current will emanate from your eyes, and people will become changed even by looking at you. That's not just for Paramahansa Yogananda. That's for you. That people will become changed by looking at your eyes as you transform yourself day by day by day with Kriya Yoga. We were reading just the other day an autobiography of a yogi that Luther Burbank hastened the evolution of the walnut tree. The walnut tree, which normally took, I don't remember what, 35 years or something to give walnuts, that Luther Burbank figured out a method that he could grow it more quickly and it could give walnuts in 16 years. Master didn't write that because he cared about walnut trees. Master wrote that because he wanted you to understand with Kriya Yoga, you can hasten your spiritual evolution. That in this one lifetime, you can become, not as great as these guys. They're avatars. But you can become a Jivan Mukta. And in that, you are the same. In that oneness, you are one with God. And in that way, you'll still have some karma you have to burn off. But in that oneness, you will be as great as them. So don't forget that. Believe it. And believe in those who have walked before us, the great ones, Swami Kriyananda Ji, all of the other saints on this path. And know that Swami Kriyananda gave his vibrations to many saints, and they're here. And that they want to help you. I'm sorry I'm taking up so much time, but there's one final story that I want to say here. And when I first came to the ashram, I met someone who's very saintly, very, very saintly. And I told him that I'm praying to Swami Kriyanandaji, and if he's telepathic and that he can hear all of these prayers, he must be just getting bombarded with all of these mental vibrations, and maybe I shouldn't, I feel bad for the poor fellow, maybe I shouldn't pray to him. And this man told me, oh no, that's his job. You're not disturbing him. That he knows how to handle all of these vibrations. It's his job to handle these vibrations. You pray to him and pray to him again and again mentally, and he will answer you. So don't be afraid to bother the great ones, that pray to them unceasingly. And don't feel that Paramahansa Yogananda or Swami Kriyananda is no longer here. They're right here with us, right now. As we open our heart, we will feel that presence. As we pray to them and then open our heart and feel that grace, it will come more and more and more. And we will be walking on a sea of gold, that this entire world, it will just become absolute bliss, unending bliss. Thank you.
Guru Purnima to everyone. I was wondering this morning, where was I at last Guru Purnima? And I found myself standing outside Larry Masha's home. And I was wondering, this is true for this morning also. As we are speaking, there are people standing outside Larry Masha's home, waiting to go in and, offer their devotion to him. And that house where we went last year, I wish that I could go every year there. And I was thinking that how blessed that house is, where all the masters have come. Master went as a small child in his mother's hand. Babaji came to that house so many times. Shri Yukteswarji went to that house so many times we don't know. Swami Padmananda came finally begging to Lahiri Mahasaya, please intercede for me that I get to know God this evening. I have done my best. But now it's your job now to fix that, actually. And so that house is blessed by so many great masters, so many great saints. And you could feel as you enter in that house, as you touch that wooden plank where Lahiri Mahasaya used to sit and give darshan, he used to give the discourses all over night. And so that's how it's very blessed. I used to go to Master's house because I taught in Calcutta for some years with Jamal and other monks. And I asked one time Master's family, can I come here in the night and meditate? And he said, you can come here 9 o'clock and we can lock you. And you can come out in the morning then. Anyway, so these places are so powerful, so vibrant that we go as another way to recharge ourselves, reconnect to the gurus. As we read in Autobiography Yogi, I went to America 2 years back and I went to all the places where Master Paramahansa Yogananda lived, Encinitas, Mount Washington, 29 Palms, all the places. And I could feel much more connection. I used to read and I could not imagine that what he's talking about, where is it all? But now, as I read, I could visualize those places, I could see them very clearly. Master, when I was a child, he tells the story in one of the books. He says that when I was a child, he was sitting in the classroom and there was a boy next to him, and Master felt an inspiration that he would write to this boy next to him that I am your guru. And Master wrote in a slip, and he wrote, I am your guru, and he passed to the boy, and the boy wrote, he says, bad boy. And that night, that boy had a dream, and in dream he saw that Master was his guru. And next day he comes to the classroom. Now he was trying to find Paramahansa Yogananda, but he was hiding. But finally, Master, after teasing some time, Master appeared to this boy and says, I accept you as my disciple. That was a very good karma, that finding your guru at a childhood in your classroom right next to you. There was a man who came to his spiritual teacher. He says that there are people, he was just new, and he says, there are people, they say that, life is a struggle, life is a battlefield, it's ups and downs. And there are some people, they say that, life is a movie, life is drama. And there are some people, they say, life is a constant joy, life is a bliss. Which one of these is true? And then his guru replied, and he says that those people who are in the world, those haven't there found their guru, For them, they haven't found their path, then they haven't fully believed in God. For them, life is a struggle, life is ups and downs, life is a battlefield. For those people who have found God, found Guru, his Guru, or her Guru, and they have just begun to follow the teachings, for them, life is they see that life is a drama. Life is a movie, as Master described in so many of his talks. And then for those people who have found God, for them, life, those who have practiced the teachings of his Guru, for them, life is a bliss. Life is a ever new joy. And so for us, most of us probably are, we don't know who's where, absolutely that. And for us, probably we are in the second category, and some of us striving toward the third category also. Master told a story of which Yukteswarji told him to Master, that there was a devotee, that he was offering flowers to his Guru, Murti, to his Guru in the Murti shape. He was offering, and all of a sudden, as he was offering, he went into ecstasy. He went into samadhi, and he started to offer flower on himself. And then he says, "Oh, I behold the whole world within me." And Master said that when I heard this story, I was so thrilled, I went into samadhi. And this is, what do we understand from this story that Master Yukteswarji was telling Master, and Master went into samadhi? What do we understand from this story? Absolutely, that devotee was not offering the first time the flowers on his Guru's head, on the Murti. He has done many times, and he practiced that. He tried with utmost devotion, and that day, his devotion got perfected. And he went to the ecstasy. He fulfilled the final teachings, what his Guru had taught him. And so far, this is for us too, that as we are practicing, as Jamal was saying, a day will come that we will find that fulfillment too. And Master gave us, don't aim for the next 5 lifetimes. Master said that see for this lifetime. Think that in this lifetime that you can be a Jivan Mukta. And Master said it's not so difficult. It is not so difficult. So we should be aiming for that goal in our lifetime. And then, as we are understanding, today we are celebrating Guru Purnima. What is Guru Purnima all about? Is it something like a new year? Or what is it? Kind of new year, than when we want to look ourselves and we want to commit more deeply to what our Guru has taught, what your Guru has taught, and practice much more deeply. Let's say to ourselves, in this coming new year, that I will practice the teachings that Yoganandaji has taught, what masters have given. Let's practice it even much more deeply. And let's find ourselves where we will be in the next Guru Purnima. What will be our state in the next Guru Purnima. So this Guru Purnima is a day when we can invoke the presence of our Guru much more deeply. Many people do, even Buddhists do, they worship Buddha this day and invoke their presence, commit to their teachings much more deeply, practicing their teachings much more deeply. I would like to close Master's book, Whispers from Eternity, where he says, he has written about my Guru. And so you could listen just for a couple of minutes. Thou light of my life, thou camest to spread wisdom's glow over the path of my soul. Centuries of darkness dissolved before the shafts of thy luminous help. As a naughty baby, I cried for my mother divine, as she came to me as my Guru, Swami Shri Yukteswar. At that meeting, O my Guru, a spark flew from thee, and the faggots of my God craving gathered through incarnations, smoldered and blazed into the bliss. All my questions have been answered with thy flaming golden touch. Eternal, ever-present satisfaction has come to me through thy glory. My Guru, thou voice of God, I found thee in response to my soul cries. Slumbers of sorrow are gone, and I am awake in bliss. If all the gods are displeased, yet thou art pleased, I am safe in the fortress of thy pleasure. And if all the gods protect me behind the parapets of their blessings, yet I receive not thy benedictions. I am an orphan left to pine spiritually in the ruins of thy displeasure. O Guru, thou did bring me out of the bottomless pit of darkness into the paradise of peace. Our souls met after years of waiting. They trembled with an omnipresent thrill. We met here because we had met before. Together, we will fly to his shores where we will smash our planes of finitude and forever and vanish into infinite life. I bow to thee as the spoken voice of silent God. I bow to thee as the divine door which leads to the temple of salvation. I bow to thee, to thy master, Lahiri Mahashaya, harbinger of yoga and Benares, and I lay the flowers of my devotion at the feet of Babaji, our supreme master. Om.
Happy Guru Purnima once again, friends. This is so nice, as I was saying in the beginning, to have a day where, and that too, fortunately, it's a Sunday this time, where we can think, about God. And actually, maybe we can make this resolution in the coming year. Sunday, Yogananda ji said, was created for God remembrance, actually. When Yogananda ji went to America in 1920, you might say our planet was waking up, after Industrial Revolution had kind of kick-started it, to realize how much more we can do to make our physical life better. And Yogananda ji said, but I saw that people were getting a bit too caught up outwardly. And he said that, he, along with Mr. Henry Ford in the US, very strongly promoted and supported the 5-day week. And he said that, yes, people should use their skill. God flows through everybody uniquely. He said for 5 days, we must offer outward service to mankind in whatever way, business and different skills. But he said Saturday should be to rest. Physical rest, recreation with family, and then he said Sunday mornings should be for contemplation. They should be for where is my week going, how was my week, am I happy, am I finding the goals I had set myself, have I set the proper goals, are my friends achieving the same goals? And he said when you ask those kind of questions, he says then your following week can get better and better. Once somebody did the math of the average lifespan, and I think the number of weeks was not very high. It was, I'm very poor at math, but I think it was something like 1700. And I said, just that much? I said, that's very less. And before we know, it's time to get another batch of weeks, whatever that is. So what we want, but what we want is, we want to understand who is the Guru. On one level, I feel it is the most sublime concept, at least in today's times. It is not understood of. I remember I was not trying to find a guru. I was trying to see how to be happy, how to basically, what is life about? As a doctor, I faced death. I tell people, not just my patients, in general. In hospital, you see a lot of death. And I used to wonder, what's happening? Where are they going? Why are they suffering? Is it all random that somebody's bone breaks? Yesterday, I sprained my ankle. Now, I would not call it random by any means. It all has a reason. But at that time, I used to have this question, why is this happening? I remember one time my first job was in a neurosurgery department. I had asked them for preventive medicine, and they gave me, when the results came out of the interview, I had gotten neurosurgery. I said, what do I do in that department? It's a super specialization, but I was an observer on one level and overseeing 35 patients in a government hospital, all in one big hall, all of whom were neurosurgical patients. Every day, 4 to 5 of them would die. New people would come. There were many other wards, but I would sit there, and my jobs were 24-hour shifts. And I would just constantly think, apart from observing their parameters, I was like, what's happening? Why did this girl fall? And somebody lost their husband because the wife was telling him, please wear a helmet. And just that day he didn't, and this happened. And I thought, this is too much. Maybe I'll go mad if I think like that. But I found Autobiography of a Yogi, and Yogananda ji very beautifully, he explained every single thing has a reason. Every thought we have, every breath we have, every act we do, we reap the gifts of that. And he said, yes, right now our planet has just come out of the dark ages and we are getting to understand what it means to work with energy. But he said, once this thought is established in people's consciousness, very naturally we won't want to go in the wrong direction. Many times we think God is very unjust, but Yogananda Ji's guru, Sri Yukteswar, he did a great service to all of us. He explained how the yugas work. And he said in the beginning, it's just 1200 years of dark ages in one way, ascending. 2400 of Dwapara, 36 of Treta, and 4800 of Satya Yuga. And then 48 descending Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga. And one day I was thinking, God is actually compassionate. He put in the Kali Yuga, he had to balance his creation, but he made it small. Just 1200 years. Satya Yuga, Master said people live on an average 400 years in Satya Yuga. I'm very grateful that we are born right now. 400 years can be boring, but I'm sure God has, Master, as Sri Yukteswar Ji said, you have no idea what happens in Satya Yuga. It's beyond our concept. So he didn't even discuss what happens over there in his book, Holy Science. But Treta Yuga, he explains people are in silence and such. But anyway, the point being, what I was trying to say is, we all find understanding at some or the other point, and then I remember I was so grateful when I came to know of reincarnation. I was so grateful. Of course, I had still not even taken Hong Saw or the beginning of the path. I had not taken discipleship. But I would again and again, I would read something, then I would turn back to the cover picture. I would look at him and I said, he knows, he's sincere, he's speaking the truth. But I thought nobody's spoken about it so far. So our gratitude starts coming out from that time. On the other hand, somebody asked Swamiji, the lady was a journalist, and for I think Financial Times or Economic Times in Mumbai, and she said, "Sir, do I need a guru?" And Swamiji said, "Oh no, you don't need a guru unless you're serious about finding God." And that's true. I think we all have gone through those incarnations or times, and even as a disciple sometimes we do, where we are not involving the guru. We think, I can do this on my own. Somebody asked the present Pope many decades ago, what does does God really want us to do something because he's so powerful? He said, of course. He's like, think of a parent and a child. The father wants the child to do something, but the trouble with us as children is, once he gives us the free will, we want to do everything. And he said, we want to take complete control. And he said, that doesn't work either. He said, you have to always remain in that family with the father, with the mother, and ask them constantly, what should be done? He said, otherwise you're running off with something. Another time, I'll share a few stories, actually. I forgot the point I wanted to make. And this was, I was finding it very interesting how Devendraji mentioned. And I was thinking that boy got his discipleship through a paper note. But that is, actually it runs in our spiritual lineage, because how was Master initiated? For years, Master told Sri Yukteswar Ji, sir, please make me a monk. And Sri Yukteswar Ji would not talk about it. And one final morning, he said, I think I'll give you monastic vows tomorrow. And Master was wondering, how will it happen? And he said, Master's guru said, it will be unceremonial. It will be very simple, just between you and me and a few people. And it will be the, I think, Bidvat way. He says, this is the unceremonial way. And I was thinking that boy in the school got his initiation like that. I am your guru. But there are some people in this very room who got their initiation in very interesting ways. So I'll embarrass them right now by sharing two stories. One is of Saili. It was very interesting how she got her discipleship. We sometimes think that we are a bit too organized. But I was telling, one of our Guru Bhais yesterday, I said, what is organization? Can we say a family is an organization? We don't think of it. Families don't call meetings every morning or every week. But what happens is life revolves around one person, then two people, and everybody does their work. Similarly, on the spiritual path, we don't realize, but the Master's God. Somebody asked Yogananda Ji, was Dr. Lewis your first American disciple? And Master said, that's what people say. Then he said, they are God's disciples. I am but an instrument. That God wants it this way, so he went to America. His gurus expressed it. Similarly, we have these classes, level 1, 2, 3, 4, this date, that date. And sometimes we think, it is so organized. Was this the God destined time for my initiation? How do I know? Well, you're asking for the ceremonial process, but sometimes it may be totally unceremonial. Both are absolutely valid. So Saili was saying that she wasn't clear if Yoganandaji is her guru in the first place. She said, I loved him. The teachings were helping me. I was enjoying everybody's presence. But she said, I was thinking a bit too much. Till finally she said, one night I told him, you decide if you're my guru. You make it obvious to me. I'm confused. I like you, but I'm confused. This is a life's commitment. And she said, next day I got up. I had my class. I came to realize that everybody's sitting in white dress with a flower and a pet and a fruit and such. That was the day of initiation, and she just walked in. And I remember later asking her, I said, you're not dressed in white. Normally we ask people to come in white. And she related the story. She said, I told Master, if you want me to be your disciple, you have to let me know. And she said, I just showed up for a class and discipleship was happening. I got my answer. I took discipleship. The other was very interesting. We have friends over here, Seemaji and her husband. And a few weeks ago, caring is also the hallmark of family life and spiritual family, obviously. And here, if we are looking into the welfare of one another, God gets a chance to work. Swamiji once explained, he says, you are not indispensable to God, but using your mind, your heart, your intuition, for us all, he was saying this in a talk, he said, what we do is we facilitate the flow of grace. Swamiji asked Master had written in one of his teachings that God has very many plans for the planet, but they do not see the light of the day because of the lack of willing channels. Staggering line. I asked Swamiji once, I said, sir, is that true? To what degree is it true? And Swamiji said, it's very true. People think God is so powerful, why does he need me? And he said, there goes one of God's plans. Saint Teresa of Avila, great saint, she in this life reincarnated as Yoganandaji's foremost disciple, lady disciple, Sister Gyanamata. In that life too, she had the blessing of praying to Christ and receiving his response, which is again so consoling. Think, she was in the 16th or 17th century. 1700 years after Christ lived, if somebody prayed to him with fervor, he would come and answer them. Actually, Yoganandaji said to Saint Francis, who lived in the 12th century, 11th century, he prayed with such fervor towards the end of his life that Christ chose to come every night in the physical form and console him. I mean, talk of the power and concern of the Guru. I mean, it is beyond our human capacity to imagine that such a caring consciousness is existing, which has not forgotten me despite my mistakes. Think of Judas. He betrayed Christ. Then he committed suicide. But Master said, in this life, Judas was born as a monk in the ashram of Ramakrishna Paramhansa, and Christ one day materialized himself before Ramakrishna, and he says it's time to release Judas. Think of Christ was waiting for the moment when his disciple would be ripe, and that's it. He intercedes to another guru. Isn't that beautiful? So Saint Teresa of Avila, similarly, in that life, she was getting old and traveling from monastery to monastery to monastery. And one day, they say in Spain, in one of the places, she sat down in one of her journeys and she said, Lord, you have created these billions of galaxies, planets, stars, this whole universe. Why do you want a frail lady like me to go and inspire people when you can inspire them? You are the source of inspiration. And she heard his voice. She said, why do you want me to do this? And he simply said, to see your will in everything you do, daughter. That of course I am the inspiration, of course I am the power, but I've created you to see what you will do. That is the goal of life. God doesn't. Master says, forget about good. Somebody asked Swamiji, what all would Yoganandaji allow disciples to do in their lives? Swamiji said, just about anything, as long as their consciousness was right. We get confused about doing good in the world. Swami says, Master is not even concerned about your faults. Otherwise, that makes him human. Oh, I made a mistake. The hammer must be coming from here or there, or like one of our acharyas says, it's like the gods are sitting on the clouds with some stones. And the moment you do something wrong, they're like, let's aim for that one. And they get it, and you're like, oh no, it's like, here it comes, I have committed something. It doesn't come, except that we judge ourselves. Now, yes, Swamiji was saying we want to reform ourselves, we want to change ourselves, but remember, we should not make God and Guru human, except to the degree Swami says a true human being is godly, so it works both ways. So we want to lift our consciousness. And so, coming back to that story of care, so I was just seeing them after a long time. They had gone to the US months, and before that also they were serving so dynamically and came to so many, all the satsangs actually. I said, so how is your kriya going? And they said, oh, we haven't taken kriya. I said, really? But you took discipleship? They're like, no, we haven't even taken discipleship. I said, what have you been doing? You've been coming for over a year. You haven't reached discipleship. I said, today is one discipleship in the afternoon. Why don't you come and take it? They're like, but we haven't done the steps and we haven't got the books. I said, just come. I said, first of all, I asked them individually. I said, do you think Yogananda ji is your guru? Seemaji said, yes, absolutely. I asked her husband, I said, do you also feel one of the masters? He said, yes, no one else, our masters. I said, come. They came, we gave them discipleship. At intermission, she remembered a very sweet incident. And she said, yesterday night, I woke up 5 to 6 times. Alternatingly, Master and Babaji were coming in my dream. And she said, I'm not tired because it was very inspiring moments. And I thought, what was special about today? And she said, there was nothing special except I thought satsang time is coming. And she said, they were smiling each time. But then she said, now I look back that they were coming and hinting me your discipleship is about to happen. Isn't that sweet? I had no idea they have taken discipleship or not. They had no plans, no knowledge that discipleship is happening. But somebody else knew and wanted it that way. So when we simply open ourselves to that grace, we facilitate the flow of grace, it comes, and so beautifully it goes ahead. Another thing I'd like to share is Swami would say that somebody's phone is ringing. That about, guru, that why do we and when do we really need a guru? How practical is it to have one? And in the beginning, we go through these lifetimes where we are doing things ourselves, then we find people who can help us. And Swami says in India, before we even come to the science of yoga, of course, many of us have taken yoga initiation, but he says there is a whole science of Shankhya. And I, reflecting on Swamiji's talks, have realized that whenever he would give public talks, I think 3% of that content was about yoga. Almost 90 to 95% was either Shankhya or Vedanta. He would talk why you need to practice yoga. He would say, oh, this body gives up. My senses are failing me. I cannot hear so properly. I had a fall yesterday. Death will come and snatch you from your relatives and friends. And you say, my goodness, this is too strong. And that is the whole science of yoga. On the other hand, Swami would always say, but there is a category of people who are never afraid of death, never afraid of life, never afraid of loving. They are the saints, and they say that if you live life properly, you can be in Sat-Chit Ananda even when you're alive. And you say, of course, I want to be in the second category. What do I do? And then Swami would say, that's why Patanjali began the Yoga Sutras by saying, now we come to the study of yoga. So I think that is our homework. Master says on the path of God, 50% is done by God. In the beginning, very few are seeking Guru. We come to know of Guru because we know God exists. So we pray for truth, we pray for God, He does His part. Then Guru do their part. And Master says you have to do your part, your 25%. And for that, let us reflect more deeply. Master said many incarnations can go if we are not serious. I mean, there are some, I wanted to today keep it light and encouraging. But Master, there was a monk, and Master told him that don't leave the ashram. He wanted to leave. And he said, if you leave today, your karma is very strange. You will have to be reborn 200 times simply to reach the point where you are today. And the fellow left. And Master says he got burnt outside in the world. Totally sad, unhappy, came back crying. Swami says that boy was weeping so much that Master also started weeping with him. And then Master told him, stay here, I will intercede, I will talk to Divine Mother. I think he said something like, It'll come down to 6 or 7 or something. But Master, it was a work in progress, you can imagine. How that karma works, God knows, Master knows. The boy got confused, he left again. And so another time, similar story happened. Swamiji said, he was the head of the monastery. He went to Master. He says, sir, so-and-so is not feeling well. Won't you talk to him? Master says, absolutely. So Master had a talk, inspired the fellow, came back on tracks. A few months later, the boy is more confused. Swamiji went to Master. He says, sir, won't you talk to him? He's thinking of leaving the path. And Swami says, this time Master didn't turn in my direction. He was looking outside the window. He says, it has gone much farther this time. He has stopped inwardly asking for help. That he could feel that the cord has been broken. Because what fun is there? I mean, we can outwardly patch it, but what fun is there? Master says he's gone. Let him go. Because Swami says in the Gita, even the worst mistake ultimately helps us because we come back to God. Because we remember it becomes part of our soul memory. But Swami would ask the question and Master would say, eventually, why not now? If we are having a confusion or a fear of finding God, which comes on the path, that's one of the subtler tests. If you're having a fear, oh, I'll have to leave my family. Oh, I don't know what God will ask me. I had that fear. I remember one night when I read autobiography, I used to sleep very peacefully, like how everybody sleeps. And I came to know God exists and He demands surrender and He guides your life. I couldn't sleep that night. I said, why should I give my life in somebody else's hands? Now I had understood that He's the creator, but I remember in the night, I said, but I want to lead it the way I like it. I have plans for tomorrow. And I went to bed. I thought He will stop disturbing me. 9 o'clock it was. I was on my balcony. I said, no, please don't interfere. Be my friend, but don't interfere with my life. You never know what He will ask. Look where I am. And then 1:30 somehow I woke up and I felt very bad. I said, you're dictating terms to God? You're telling Him how much or what He should do, not do? Shame on you. And I went out in the same, porch and looked up at the sky. I said, okay. I said, I made it comical. I said, let me sleep like a normal person tonight. From tomorrow morning, I'm yours. I said, from tomorrow morning, do what you want to. Give me the strength to do that. And to this day, I pray for that it's not easy to do what God wants. Swami says, Master would not spare extreme suffering if it was good for the disciple. Why? Because you need that. I sometimes think of two things when God is testing us. Either He's washing a shirt through which we played a lot of football in the monsoon. So He's like, I want to keep this shirt in my wardrobe, but so many stains, let's wash it again and again and again. And then He says, and let's iron it also. And so that ironing process is happening. But why is He doing that? Here we won't be happy. The sooner we understand that our will was given by God, and that's a clash. The Guru is in a very sensitive position. He knows God's will for us, but he will not stop our free will. Master said sometimes devotees take thousands of years as disciples, again and again coming, and Master told Swamiji, he says, I'm in for the long haul. Once I give my word of loyalty to anyone, like he said, I'll come back 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times if need be, to help devotees. So let's on this day, I think coming back to that question, do we need God? How badly do we need Him? How can He help us? What will change in our life if we find Him? In a very simpler way and the highest way, He's defined as joy, fearlessness, lack of attachments. How can we help our family if we find God? What is real service for mankind? Where is our path leading us? Like I was saying, Sunday mornings, let's do that kind of reflection. Because Swamiji said many people would come to Master. In the beginning, he could heal them physically, their illnesses. And he says, but Master after some time stopped doing that. He said, because people got healed in the body and then they would not come back. And he says that I would much rather now prefer to help people spiritually. And physical suffering, outward suffering is sometimes very good. It is not necessary. Swami writes, like Master was saying, eventually, why not now? Swami says that the long path of suffering can be short-circuited He says in the Gita, he said, it can be short. We don't have to go through that. He says that happens by devotion. Loving, not God. How can we love God? God is bliss. Swami says you fall in love with bliss. It does not have an opposite. Or you can call him freedom. He says you fall in love with that. And that is what you want more and more. And then we change our actions. Then we change our way of thinking. Then we apply discrimination. Then we seek and ask for the blessings of a guru. Otherwise, Swami says guru is very helpless otherwise. He's not required to make an omelette, to drive a car and so simple things. Of course, ultimately, we can bring him there too. But let's keep that in mind. Let's try to draw the grace. And this morning I was thinking it's so beautiful that we should... that, not just us in our temple, but many people are celebrating. It is a great festival in Buddhism. Buddha had given his first sermon today, they say, on Guru Purnima. Also, Mahavir in Jainism found God today. And likewise, think of the thousands and thousands of other guru-disciple relationships. Why do people love a guru? The guru brings joy. His company brings joy, security, sweetness. And think of all the disciples who must be seeking their guru, trying to draw his grace into their life over so many millennia, traveling, spending time, sometimes leaving everything for that sake. Think of all the Ananda temples we have, all the other lineages where again today people must be drawing that grace. So let's also include everybody in that celebration. So let's meditate for a few minutes now.